Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into an ancient tale, one that history often tells from a single perspective. We're talking about Rome, an empire so vast and powerful, it reshaped the world. But what if I told you that even the mightiest empire could win all the battles and still lose the most important war? This is a story about power, injustice, and the unyielding human spirit. Get ready, because this is a story that time itself remembers. 2,000 years ago, an empire stretched across continents, a force of nature disciplined and relentless. Its legions marched with an almost terrifying precision, their heavy footsteps echoing through history. Its banners, emblazoned with the eagle, flew from the scorching deserts of Africa to the dense, mystical forests of Gaul. This was Rome, magnificent in its ambition, ruthless in its conquests, seemingly unstoppable in its march towards glory. But here's the often overlooked truth. Behind the gleaming marble temples, the awe-inspiring aqueducts, and the roaring triumphal parades lay another Rome. A Rome built not just on stone and mortar, but on chains. Millions of men, women, and children toiled in silence, their voices unheard, their lives tragically stolen. They were the very fuel for an empire's glory, their backbreaking labor paving the way for Roman dominance. And then, one man refused to remain invisible. He refused to be just another statistic in an empire built on exploitation. His name was Spartacus. Imagine this: a Thracian soldier, a man of courage and skill, captured in the brutal lottery of war. He was stripped of his freedom, sold into the ignominious fate of slavery, and then condemned to the ultimate spectacle, to fight as a gladiator. In the blood-soaked sands of the arena, Spartacus didn't just learn to survive, he learned to kill with devastating efficiency. More profoundly, he learned to measure the infinite value of freedom against the crushing weight of chains. He tasted the bitter irony of fighting for an audience, while his own destiny was not his to command. And then, one fateful night in 73 BC, Spartacus chose defiance. He chose to reclaim his life. With just 70 gladiators, armed with nothing more than kitchen knives, stolen tools, and an abundance of raw courage, he executed an impossible escape from the gladiatorial school in Capua. They didn't just flee, they ran towards a desperate dream. They scrambled up the treacherous slopes of Mount Vesuvius, turning their sheer desperation into the spark of a rebellion. At first, Rome laughed. A handful of runaway slaves? What threat could they possibly pose to the invincible republic? The idea was preposterous beneath their notice, but the laughter soon died in their throats. News began to spread like wildfire. Fugitives, men and women hungry for a taste of freedom they'd never known, began to pour in, joining Spartacus's ragtag band. Each new face was a testament to the brutal truth of Roman society. Each new recruit was a living, breathing symbol of the injustice that simmered beneath the surface. What began as an escape swiftly transformed into a full-blown army. For 2 incredible years, Spartacus and his growing legions of the oppressed did the unthinkable. They defeated the mighty Roman legions again and again and again. Rome sent consuls, praetors, and seasoned generals. All of them returned in humiliation. Their reputations shattered, their legions decimated. The Republic's pride was wounded, bleeding openly for the world to see. The name Spartacus, once a joke, became a whisper of fear in the marbled halls of power. It became a rallying cry for the enslaved, a terrifying omen for the enslavers. But Rome was patient, Rome was adaptive, and Rome was utterly, ruthlessly determined. It sent its most formidable weapon, not just a general, but a man embodying the cold, calculating power of the Roman elite, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was wealthy beyond imagining, ruthless in his methods and relentless in his pursuit. He understood that Spartacus's army, though valiant, had to eat, had to rest, had to survive. Crassus didn't fight Spartacus in open battle initially. He built. He constructed massive fortifications, a series of defensive walls stretching miles, effectively trapping the rebels in the southern tip of Italy. Slowly, inexorably, starvation, crushing fear, and bone-deep exhaustion began to wear down Spartacus's magnificent army. They were cornered, their options dwindling, their hope flickering. Spartacus, ever the warrior, understood his fate. He knew the end was near, but he would not let it be without a final, defiant roar. He gathered his remaining forces and made his final heroic stand. With an almost suicidal courage, he charged directly into the heart of the Roman ranks, striking down foe after foe, a whirlwind of desperate valor. He fought until the very last breath, until the overwhelming tide of Roman might swallowed him whole. He fell. His body, in the chaos and blood of that final battle, vanished beneath the shields and spears of the legions. Rome had won the battle. Rome had crushed the rebellion. And to drive home their absolute victory, to send an unmistakable message of terror and warning, 6,000 of Spartacus's followers were crucified along the Appian Way, their dying cries echoing for miles, a grim testament to Roman power. Rome had won, or so it seemed. Yet, in this brutal victory, lay a deeper, more profound loss for the empire. For every battle Rome won against Spartacus, the rebellion revealed a far greater weakness within its own foundations. It exposed a civilization built on the precarious pillars of fear, systemic cruelty, and crushing oppression. Rome could defeat Spartacus's army in a pitched battle, yes, but it could not erase the powerful, indelible idea he represented, that no human being, regardless of birth or circumstance, is born to serve another. Rome's victories were carved in stone, celebrated in triumphal arches that still stand today. But its real defeats were etched into the very conscience of humanity, a truth that would resonate for millennia. Within a single generation of Spartacus's rebellion, the mighty Roman Republic, for all its pomp and power, would begin to crumble from within. It dissolved into a maelstrom of civil wars, political assassinations, and ultimately, tyranny. Its greatest enemy was never a slave army, a barbarian horde, or an external foe. It was the inherent injustice that made such an army, such a rebellion, possible in the first place. Spartacus's body was gone, lost to history's dust, but his spirit, his audacious cry for freedom, lingered. It became an immortal whisper, a powerful ember that would ignite countless struggles throughout history. In every rebellion against tyranny, every revolution against oppression, every desperate cry for fundamental human freedom, the name of Spartacus, or the spirit he embodied, walked beside the oppressed. Rome won the battles, yes, the physical clashes of steel and flesh. But Spartacus won the story, the narrative that truly resonates with the human heart. And stories, my friends, stories of courage and defiance, outlive empires. Empires may conquer lands, their legions sweeping across continents. They may crush cities, reducing magnificent structures to rubble. They may imprison bodies, locking away individuals in chains and dungeons. But they cannot conquer courage. They cannot destroy an idea whose time has come. They absolutely cannot erase the fundamental, primal human desire to be free. Rome may have silenced Spartacus the man, but it could not, for all its might, silence what he represented. It could kill men, but it could not kill hope. It could win countless battles, but in the grandest scheme of things, it ultimately lost the war that mattered most, the war for humanity, dignity, and justice. 2,000 years later, the once invincible Roman legions lie in ruins, scattered dust and forgotten names. Their magnificent marble temples crumble, weathered by time and neglect. Their senators, once powerful figures of legend, are long forgotten. But Spartacus endures. He stands as a towering reminder that true victory is not measured in conquest or bloodshed, in the amount of land controlled or the wealth amassed. True victory is measured in the indomitable courage that inspires generations, that sparks the flame of freedom in the darkest of times. Rome won the battles, but Spartacus won the war of the human spirit. And in that undeniable, eternal truth, history takes its side. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through history. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button, subscribe for more captivating content, and let me know in the comments what other historical figures you believe won the war, even if they lost the battle. Your support means the world,